Oh, I'm walking in from the other side this time. Okay, let's get right into it. Let me tell you how you need to reprogram the way you think about food and the diet. Oh, let's get into it. All right. So let me just go ahead and intro this by saying, hey, I done cured some diseases that you wouldn't believe just by simply getting people to get their diet right. But I'm sure that's not that hard to believe, because I'm sure you might have heard the saying, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Maybe you haven't heard that. But either way, let me get you right about how you might need to reprogram the way you think about foods. All right, cool. So, first of all, there's a lot of people who might start to get on the woke path, the spiritual journey, and all that type of stuff, and they start thinking that the most important thing, or at least they start behaving as if the most important thing is what you eat, because they might hear the saying, you are what you eat, or something like that. Let me tell you something, bro. You ain't woke just because you eat veggies. You ain't woke just because you eat fruit. That's not going to make you actually aware of your higher intelligences, okay? So don't think that it's people out here that's always following some type of textbook way to be spiritual or some nonsense like that, bro. I promise you, bro, it don't matter what you eat once you actually reach all your highest chakras. Once you get all of this stuff balanced, you get everything balanced out, it doesn't matter what you eat anymore. It does not matter what you do here or none of that stuff. All of this stuff is an illusion, because you're going to naturally know what's right for you. You're going to know what to do. And everything is circumstantial. Everything is dependent upon the circumstance and who you are as a soul and what you need to experience. So don't be out here thinking, oh man, they eat meat, or I need to stop eating meat in order to be spiritual, or some nonsense like that, bro. I promise you it ain't that simple. First of all, you already spiritual just because you exist. Secondly, anytime that you see some sort of somebody trying to make you think a certain type of way as far as like what you have to do, making you feel like you don't have an option or something like that, know that they're an agent for the wrong type of perspective, because all of this stuff is about figuring it out for your damn self. So anyways, when I'm saying this, I'm basically just trying to make sure people don't have any shackles on their mind, make sure people are not thinking too small or something like that, because people get so caught up in the third dimension that they forget we're multi-dimensional, and this is the most dense reality, bro. This is actually the least important one. But of course, it might seem really important because you're here, and it's so easy for you to recall your existences here and your traumas and all of that type of stuff a lot of the time. But let me put you on game, okay? So when it comes to what you think about food, definitely reprogram how you think about food in general if your perspective is based upon what you did growing up. What you did growing up was probably not necessarily what was important for you as an adult soul who is actually in control over what happens in your life and actually what goes inside your body and stuff like that, because a lot of this stuff is culturally appropriated. What does that mean? Basically, our culture is making us think that things have to go a certain way. You know, for example, we have to have certain religious beliefs, we have to read a certain book, we have to believe in a certain God, we have to eat certain foods on Sundays, or we have to not work on these days, work on these days. We have to do these certain rituals on certain holidays throughout the year based off the calendar and all that stuff. Bro, all of that stuff don't mean shit for you as a soul. You have to understand this, bro. Why is this such a big deal? It's because a lot of the time people might neglect what they actually need and their own intuition, because they're being influenced by the external world, by what the world told them they need to be doing. And bro, that ain't it, man. If you sitting here trying to satisfy other people's ideas of what's right for you, you got everything messed up about who you need to be. Because the whole time you're supposed to be intuitive. It's supposed to be an internal thing. It's supposed to be you learning from yourself, your own experiences, developing your own perspective on what's right and what's wrong and what you need to do and what you shouldn't do. But definitely don't be out here judging other people on what they feel like is right or wrong for them, because not everything fits everyone, but everything has a fit for everyone. Depending on who you are, it might fit you or it might just fit somebody else. Hopefully that makes sense. So when it comes to the food, right? If I'm eating food, if I'm like, hey, it just so happened that I want to eat veggies all the time, or I want to eat fruit, like me as an individual specifically, I normally want to just eat fruit. That's just who I am, okay? If I know I want to eat fruit most of the time, and for whatever reason, maybe my reality sometimes introduces me to opportunities where I have meat to eat in front of me. You know how stupid it would be to not be grateful for the opportunity to have something to nourish my body, and then I'm sitting here like, oh no, I'm a vegan, I can't eat that, even though I'm hungry. You know how stupid that sounds? I might actually be hungry, but I'm over here like, I mean, it do look good and it smell good, and I actually do want to eat some, but I can't because I have to be committed to my religion, my food religion. Like, bruh, wake up, bruh. It ain't even that big of a deal. It's a big deal for you to indulge in this world sometimes. Actually be here, be experiencing the third dimension, this reality. This is a material world. You're supposed to actually experience the material world. Don't be out here trying to act like a monk and you be so freaking woke, or you think you so smart that you ain't even here, like you too good for the world or some shit like that. Because you already here, bro. You might as well enjoy it. Go ahead and smoke some of that sometimes if you want to. Eat some of that sometimes if you want to. Try that stuff if you want to. But what I'm saying is make sure you got moderation and make sure you got standards. So don't just be out here just doing anything, wilding and stuff. Because like I said, you're supposed to be paying attention to your intuition. You're supposed to be intuitive the entire time. As you're developing your intuition, you're going to realize under certain circumstances, it actually might make sense for you to do something that you wouldn't normally do. And you have to be okay with that, because that just comes with this spiritual development. Once you realize that God has a language that is all type of stuff, anything. You could learn anything from any experience. You could learn from any experience that you accept and actually go into experiencing. So don't be acting like it's something like deeper than just simply experiencing here. On planet Earth, life on planet Earth is just about getting some experience. Okay, I know that there's certain experiences that are going to be more pleasant than others, more favorable than others, and it's going to be rough sometimes and all that type of stuff. But the whole time, you're supposed to be experiencing things. That includes rough stuff. That includes making bad choices sometimes, or making mistakes and learning from those too. So don't be out here trying to like always make sure you're doing the right thing and never doing the wrong thing. Because I know a lot of times, sometimes people they'll be so afraid of making a mistake that they won't even do anything at all. Like, no, bro, don't have analysis paralysis or anything like that. You still got to be willing to make choices and be okay with if you screw up sometimes, because you're going to. It's just a matter of time, because making mistakes is a part of life. You're supposed to be willing to. Now, that doesn't really necessarily have to do with just food, but I just wanted to make sure that like you know that. But as far as the food thing, make sure that you experience different things. Like, expand your palate. Don't be afraid to eat something that you never seen before. Eat something that is from another culture, for example. Or maybe if you don't necessarily like a certain thing that you just remember you tried it before, but it was freaking 10 years ago. That don't mean that you don't like it, because 10 years ago, your taste buds might have been wired totally different than now. So try it again. You never know. You might actually be cool with it. I know a lot of stuff, bro. During my life, like, I done had stuff where at a certain time of my life, my body didn't even like it. But now I eat it and I'm like, I love this stuff. Or maybe I was allergic to it before, or I'm not now. And it could be the other way around. Maybe I wasn't lactose intolerant, or at least I didn't realize, and maybe I am now. Or that's just an example. Normally people who are lactose intolerant, they are the whole time though. But, and the thing is, a majority of people of color actually are lactose intolerant. But we kind of just get used to having a messed up stomach and stuff. So if you do stay away from something a lot of the time, make sure you stay away from the dairy. But like I say, if it just so happened that it's something available and it seems like that's just the best option right now, go ahead. Just don't overdo it. You're going to be able to get away with everything as long as you don't overdo it. Like, you could literally get away with anything once. I'm sure that you done heard people say something like, I'll try anything once. Those type of people, they actually might have been on to something. But of course, it shouldn't be literally, I'll try anything. But you have to just be aware that that's just an expression of being an open-minded person, because open-mindedness is the only way for you to get new experiences, for you to actually keep that youthfulness about you. Because if you're not willing to try anything new, technically, you're not even willing to experience the main point of life, because life is about getting a new experience every time, because every time you do something, it's a new experience. Every time you do something, it's not going to go the same way every time. You could do the same activity and it go differently every time. Every time I go play basketball, it's going to happen differently every time. Every time I shoot this ball, it's going to actually happen differently every time. Even though I'm still doing the same activity, it's not actually the exact same experience. So that is the case with anything though. Now, you do have to be aware of whenever you're doing something for a long period of time, like decades, it will catch up with you. And especially when it comes to doing stuff like smoking or eating food that is cooked by smoke and things like that. Carcinogens are a very real thing. But of course, also on the end of like talking about the diet and eating, you have to be aware of the power of fasting also, especially if you're trying to get rid of a disease or illness or some kind of thing like that. So fasting is also a very important thing. Now, I do need to mention that a lot of the time people might use the term fasting and then they're like, oh, I'm fasting, so I'm only drinking water. Bro, that's not fasting. That's a water diet. A true fast is when there is no food, no liquids going inside of you, no solids, no liquids. It's just air you're breathing in. That's a true fast. And that's where the power is, because all you're doing is inhaling the intelligence of the air element, and you're letting your body actually detoxify itself without putting anything else on top of it. So it's gonna have to burn off all of the stuff that it put in storage, your fat storage and things like that. So of course, if you're one of those people who have very little body fat, like me, for example, you might not want to fast for as long as somebody who's big. A big person, if you actually got like a disease or something, or you got some type of illness, and I'm talking about aches, pains, I'm talking about skin issues, I'm talking about cancer, you got eyesight problems, any of that type of stuff. When you have these issues, a fast could definitely help with all of it. But it might get worse before it gets better. So you have to also be aware of that, because as your body is detoxifying, all of the toxic stuff is going to come to the surface, and then it's going to explode. Basically, it'll expand, and it'll explode, it'll die, and then something new will come. And it's kind of like just like everything in life, right? For example, everything has its birth, it has its youth, it has its prime, and then it'll expand until it dies, and then of course it'll wither away. A new season come around, it'll come out even better. So you just got to think about that when it comes to actually like detoxifying your body and stuff. You can't expect it to get better before it gets worse. It's probably going to get worse first, and then it'll get better, just because it's already in you and it's going to try to fight back. Whatever it is that's inside of you, that disease, that illness, it's got a life of its own, and it's going to try to fight for its own life. But the rest of your body is going to have to fight and kill it. So it's actually going to be a war inside. And of course, mentally, you got all this stuff going on. If you got a lot of habits where you be eating a lot of grease, where you be not drinking enough water, maybe you don't eat enough melons and stuff like that, you're also going to have to realize that this is a mental battle with yourself. If you're so addicted to food is one of the biggest addictions people got, by the way. If you're so addicted to food and you're not even willing to not eat, bro, you got to think about just how big of control your stomach has over you as far as your thinking. Your stomach has a mind of its own. A lot of the time, you just go to the fridge, not even because you're really hungry, it's just because your stomach said, I want some more food. Bro, you probably never actually been truly hungry in your life. And a lot of the time that is the case, especially in privileged countries like the United States of America, for example. Like, bro, people have access to so much stuff all the time. People don't even realize you don't need to eat nearly as much as you do in order to survive. People also think that if you don't eat, you won't be able to survive and stuff, but there's plenty of people who don't eat at all. And all they do is maybe they're a breatharian, maybe they only drink liquids, maybe they only just like crack open fruit and drink the juice or something like that. It's all type of options you got. So just know that it's mind control if you think that you can't go without food for a significant amount of time, because really all you ever needed was water. But anyways, so whenever you're doing these fasts though, you want to make sure that like your lifestyle actually lines up with the activity. So basically I'm saying the activity needs to decrease. If you know that you are not eating much, don't try to be like working hard and exercising and lifting weights and like running around and all the extra stuff. You're supposed to just relax and allow your body to just do its thing. So don't try to like don't try to live the same exact lifestyle as what you got. You actually have to scale back a little bit, especially if you're in that period of healing, because you really need to be turning within and getting to know yourself better. And you'll realize just how much time you got on your hands every day that you could be doing anything, but instead you was just always chasing food. Like, bro, you would really be surprised just how much more time you got on your hands when you don't eat. So I would just recommend fasting just to realize that, like, dang, bro, food really does control my life. Like, I don't know, but maybe you'll just take my word for it. Some people need to eat a lot more than others, a lot less than others. Some people are just full-blown addicted and slaves to their stomach. You have to determine who you are. But yeah, I just wanted to make that quick video. Holla at me if you got any questions.